Alrighty, not too long ago I talked about, or ruminated about, mused about, how to assess to make, like how to make changes to a newly purchased house. And I was like, do I have something analogous that I've already done? And so I live with the people who raised me. I'm Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle, and this is my walking and talking video, Thursday, 18 June 2026. And so I'm going to show 2 feeding areas and talk about kind of a point-to-point assessment and be like, would I make changes? And so one is a feeding area. It used to be here, there used to be a deck, a wooden deck, and that's gone. And there used to be a tree branch. It did not grow back. And so there used to be the red squirrel feeder. Oh, look at that. A little downy or a hairy woodpecker taking some of the bark off the tree. Good little, that's the 4th species. Hello, honey. Hi, beautiful. So there was another one, a much bigger woodpecker, pileated woodpecker, put these holes here, and there's some more in the bark on the tree. I've seen 2 other species in addition to, so it marks the 2nd woodpecker species I've seen, but I've seen 2 other species as well going for the bark. I'm like, there must be some good grubs under there. They really like the bark. And so from last year, it turns dark after it's removed. As you can see some of the eating from last year. So they're going for the grubs. Anyway, so there was a feeding area here, and then I recommended putting it down there. And so I have videos on my channel where with this feeder in both locations. So it used to be up there, and I got moved down here. And so evaluating, was that the right move? I'm gonna get my sun protection on my scalp. Yes, I've noticed that actually the predatory birds, such as the hawks and the owls, are around much less. And we've had far fewer predatory birds go after the small little birds with this location. And the squirrels as well. So this has turned out to be, I think partially, there's no like big tree branches hanging by the feeder. And so, I now know it's in terms of frequency of predatory birds being here in close proximity to the feeder, it's much less than it was before. So there we go. If I were to change anything, would I? It's a good one. The critters might have liked being closer to the house, but so it goes. So that's one. That's a change where there might be no further change. Then there's this feeding area, and this is a little bit different in the sense of this was not a feeding area. So essentially, like you can think of it as when I showed up, this was not used as a feeding area, so it wasn't. And then I turned it into a feeding area when it snowed. And so, because the squirrels will use the canopies to go between trees, or were, and so I was like, I'll put food over here in case they can't make it to the other area, because like one of those snowstorms, it was like 11-inch deep snow, and so I started feeding over here, and I keep up with this as a feeding area. It's good. I can put little piles in 3 different locations, so there can be different critters. Squirrels and birds and bunnies will use it, per my experience. Would I change anything? So I clean up these areas, and the dirt can run a little low, so I might, like, if I were thinking of making changes, like I could do, that would be like, and I had the means and ability, or what conditions, maybe circumstances to do, would be to add dirt periodically, because some of it gets removed when I'm cleaning up. But those are 2. I decided to choose those 2 because I recommended / chose those 2 locations. And it's in the spirit of making changes to a new home. It's like, well, if we really like it, maybe the changes end up being critter feeding areas. My Josh goes, yes. My Jacob goes, yes. my Craig goes, yes. Is that Craig the squirrel or Craig human? Anyway, thank you for joining me.